Gentlemen, it's 6 o'clock. Y'all ready? Y'all. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Horn Lake Board of Aldermen's meeting. So happy each and every one of you could be out. As we've said for years, good government depends on the citizens being involved. So thank you for coming here instead of enjoying this beautiful Mississippi afternoon. At this time, I'd like to call the Board of Aldermen's meeting to order and would like to ask Alderman Bledsoe to please lead us in the invocation.
Bow your head, please. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this beautiful day we had today. And thank you for everybody in the city of Horn Lake that we're growing and getting better and better every day. And thank you for your son dying on the cross so we'll be able to go to heaven. All we have to do is accept him. And Jesus, thank you again for everything you do for us. And may we represent you in everything we do. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Alderman David Young?
And salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Before we go any further, would you please remember in your prayers the family of Alderman Bledsoe. His brother just passed away, and his services will be this Friday. And also, please remember Alderman Dupree. He is in the hospital. If you get a chance, please ask for his complete recovery. All right, number one, the vote on the municipal docket. Do we have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, we need to do roll call.
Oh, roll call first. Miss Julie.
Alderman Klein.
Here.
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 All right, we have a quorum. All right, now, number one, the vote on the municipal docket. Do we have a motion?
Mayor. So moved.
Motion by Alderman Young. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Bledsoe. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 4 in favor, none opposed, 3 absent. All right. Number 2 on the agenda is the consent agenda. Do we have a motion?
Mayor,
Alderman Johnson.
I move that we accept the consent agenda, items A through Q.
We have a motion by Alderman Johnson. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Young. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Young.
Aye.
Alderman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Bledsoe.
Aye.
Alderman Klein.
Aye. Motion carries 4 in favor, none opposed, 3 absent. All right. Number 3 on your agenda is the claims docket. Do we have a motion?
Mayor,
Alderman Klein.
I make a motion, the claim docket with the general funds of $1,721,144.06. Bond fund 0, library fund $5,652.25. Economic development fund $3,756.90. Utility fund $254,376.17 for a total docket of $1,984,929.38.
We have a motion by Alderman Klein. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Bledsoe. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please, Miss Julie.
Alderman Klein.
Aye.
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 Motion carries 4 in favor, None opposed, 3 absent. We're on number 4 on the agenda, please, presentations and special guests. At this time, it's my honor to ask our distinguished Chief of Police, Chief Pullen, to come forward. Your program, ma'am.
If you don't mind, I'll do it right here.
Wherever you want to, ma'am.
I hate to put my back to y'all, so we have completed our inaugural Citizens Police Academy, and we wanted to share the graduation with you all. And so, if you want to come on. So, we started the academy on January 30th, and for the next 6 weeks, we had 6 attendees, and we were actually pretty glad that we only had 6, because we were able to make it much more hands-on and get to know them. They get to know us, because the purpose of the Citizens Academy was that to show transparency with the police department, but so that we could get to know them, they could get to know us. And this was twofold for me, because I got to get the police department out of their comfort zone, and the citizens also out of their comfort zone, and we get to know each other. So I've learned to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, and that's what I would like for the police department to do the same, not just get into a routine of dealing with citizens in one way. So this worked out very well for us, and we look forward to another one in the fall. Anyone that's interested is more than welcome to attend. And so for those 6 weeks, they met on Thursday evenings for 2 hours. And first week, they met the police administration, and Miss Jenny gave them the ins and outs of dispatch, and so they got to see the behind-the-scenes side of that. And they toured the facilities. We took them on a tour around and opened up to them so they could get to know us as administration. The next week, they did the patrol operations and got to see our equipment and why we have the gear that we have, how we work within the parameters that we have to work within. So the following week, they did mock crime scenes in here. And if Daniel, can you start the video, please? Is it okay? So they did the mock crime scenes and everything in here, and we're introduced to at least one interesting case that has been worked to the end by Lieutenant Moore, and got to see kind of how the backside of investigations and special operations and what all those guys do. The next week, they toured the DeSoto County Jail, which we greatly appreciate them opening up their doors to us. And following week, they got to fly the drone and see what DUI operations were about, wear the drunk goggles, those things. They watched our canines at work. They were introduced to some SWAT team members, got to see the SWAT truck and their gear and stuff that really isn't put out there much for the public to see, but they got to enjoy all of that. Then next week, they did citizens' response to active shooter events, and I believe it cycled through those photos. Those were pretty funny. They actually got to stick their hands in ice water and simulate using the tourniquets on themselves and each other and how to respond to an active shooter event. So following week, they completed their ride-alongs. So now we've got 6 people that are more than ready to be police officers. Without further ado, the graduates are Jeannie Giuseppe, Charlotte Armstrong, Melinda Webb, Jeannie Oliver, Grant Harlow, and Heather Dupree. So Scott didn't want to give a a presentation or anything. Didn't want to do a speech, so I'm going to take this opportunity to embarrass him. He, you know, when I wanted him to come back from retiring as assistant chief, come back part-time and do these sort of things and help get the police department more involved in the community. And I really saw the passion in him much more than I did before when he was doing full-time assistant chief duties. And the more we talked about this and the more it really started to take shape. And then watching him with them, I saw the passion that he has for the community, for one, but then we're on the same page as administration and him with getting more involved with the community and the police department. It's twofold for me because I see our officers really enjoy this side and allowing for the community to see who they are as opposed to just showing up at someone's very worst hour. So again, I invite anybody to join us again in the fall. And Scott's making any tweaks here and there that will make it even better, and we hope to continue to do that with each event that we do. So I greatly appreciate everything you did with it. Thank you. And last, I would like to thank y'all for your time. I know time is precious, especially now, so thank each of you for your interest in the police department and also just getting out of your comfort zone and being open to what we do. So thank you very much.
Miss Jeannie stepped out to get her picture made. She's next on the agenda.
Mayor, can we just move to C and come back?
It would be fine with me. Is that all right with y'all? Yes, sir. Is that all right with y'all, Alderman? To we move to C? Miss Jeannie's out there getting her picture made. Well, I think they're through now.
Instead of doing B now, we're just going to move to C and come back to B.
Here she comes, I believe.
Oh, here she comes. Okay.
Here she comes. Miss Jeannie is doing double duty tonight. She's the Chamber of Commerce lady. That's letter B under number 4. Did you want to discuss the Bullfrog Festival, ma'am? Yes. Is there a microphone there so the audience can hear you, ma'am?
Is this it? Can you hear me? Okay. Yes, sir. Thank you for having me tonight. We, again, want to have the Bullfrog Festival at Latimer Lakes Park on October the 4th from approximate time 9 to 2. And we will possibly have live music again. If we don't, we'll have a DJ. When we don't know if we're going to have a car show or not, but that's a possibility as well.
So you're asking,
So I'm asking for permission to have it at Latimer Lakes Park.
as there will be a new board, is that all?
Yes, sir. No problem.
All right. Anybody have any questions for Miss Jeannie? Do we have a motion? Sir?
Mayor.
Are you nodding for, okay.
All right. I move that we have the Bullfrog Festival at Latimer Lakes, if the date and time is available, hosted by the Horn Lake Chamber of Commerce.
We have a motion by Alderman Johnson. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Young. Is there any discussion?
Mayor,
Alderman Bledsoe.
Drew, is that date all right with you in the park?
Yes, sir. Everything's good to go with that.
Any more discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Young.
Aye.
Alderman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Bledsoe.
Aye.
Alderman Klein.
Aye.
Motion carries 4 in favor, none opposed, 3 absent. Thank y'all. It was a lot of fun last year.
Thank you
It
very
was
much.
a lot of fun. Officer. So thank you. All right. Letter C, Mr. Sam and Miss Karina Guy. You already have all their information, don't you, Miss Julie? Okay. Hey, Mr. Sam.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
We've been here before on this issue about the flooding.
Excuse me, sir, could you talk toward the mic? It said, it looks
We've
like a
been here
mouse.
before about the flooding issue. And I've submitted pictures for them to look at and make a decision on trying to get that water slowed down coming through that culvert on Austin Road. And the neighbor across the street drains on our property too.
Yes, sir. I got your pictures.
It's really a mess, and at one point in time, the water was so bad it was over Austin Road too.
Does it get in your house?
No. It's got up close to the sidewalk. But we need some help with this.
Is it causing any damage to your property, sir?
Well, it's washing away dirt,
Okay.
and the culvert they put in, the water's actually bubbling underneath. Eventually, that's going to give you a big problem, because it's going to let that road sink. And something needs to be done as far as slowing it down from coming off of the side where in DeSoto County by that quarry is, I guess it's a quarry, where the rain ain't gushing through like it does. You'd have to see it when it really floods. You get
made
a
some
better
good-
picture
You
of
made some
it.
good pictures.
Yeah, I took good pictures of it.
Mr. Box, have you gone down there and looked at this?
Yes, we've been there on this several different times. I think Vince and them even did a little study on it, if I ain't mistaken, back a few years ago. But as you can see right there with the driveway right there, one of the big issues is that driveway right there, the culvert in there is too small. You can see how that water builds up on the right side there. It's not
You're
big
talking about
enough
on
to
the
allow
house
that
property?
water to go through. So you're gonna get retention because that pipe is too small to hold, to take in the amount of water that's coming through there.
Mr. Vance, is that your understanding of the problem?
Well, Mayor, as you can see, that's a pretty widespread flood there as far as the area it's covered. And, you know, it's not just a matter of changing the culvert here and there, I don't think. I think the biggest issue is the amount of water they're getting from north of there, if I'm not correct. In there, did you mention a quarry? Is that what you said?
Yeah, where they had that quarry over there on the other side of Austin Road.
Yeah.
That's where all the water's coming from,
Right. So that,
the biggest problem.
we did look at that. It's been a few years ago. We kind of looking at that area just to see, you know, kind of what was going on. And that was one of the things we kind of were inquiring about is what is going on over there. Are they doing anything in those operations over there that would cause more water to be projected down through this area?
You mean the county land,
Yes, sir.
south of,
Because that's part of the basin that this thing serves. And so we were looking at that, and we talked to some guys over there that were working there. Never really came up with a definitive answer if they were doing anything that caused anything, but we haven't gotten any further than just a discussion with them. So I don't know, you know, to understand this better, I think we would definitely have to go out and do some more investigation. And probably, if you're going to fix this, it's going to probably take a hydraulic study or analysis to figure out this whole basin area, what's going on, because that's a lot of water coming through there.
so the culvert is on Mr. Sam's property.
Yes, sir. Yeah, there's one, his driveway is, well, I think the one that Stephen was talking about.
Sir?
The one under his driveway is the one Stephen was talking about. And it is, not only is it probably undersized, but it's also elevation of the invert, the bottom of that pipe is too low, it's too high. It's not letting all the water flow out, even when it does drain, it's a little high. But that's kind of the minor stuff that, when you're looking at something like this. The big picture is, where's all this water coming from, and how can we divert that in any way?
And so this is the water coming from the south of Mr. Sam's property.
Off of Austin Road.
Yes, sir.
through that culvert.
Yes, sir.
Off the old Billy's place down there, where the gravel pit was.
Right over the top of Austin Road, right there in that picture.
Okay. Mr. Andrews, you have your hand up?
Yeah, and I looked into this as well. He came into my office and we just kind of discussed all the things going on. I looked at the elevation of the whole neighborhood, and for some reason Sharon Drive was at a very low elevation compared to the rest of the neighborhood. And a lot of the water,
Oh, okay.
as you can see in the picture, that tree line in the back, that's facing towards the south. And so all the water is coming from the fields that way and then rushing north, going across Austin Road into his yard. And that storm drain pipe there is directly pulling water from the south to the north into his yard. That storm drain pipe is on public property, but that property line is back a few feet from that, and the deeper part of the ditch goes onto his private property. And then all of that flows north into the floodplain and then the creek. And so it's going to be a really tough situation, but there's a few minor things that we could all possibly try to do, like work on making that road higher, and then make the pipe wider, and then redo the ditch in a way to divert it more towards the north, and get a more uniform ditch on that whole street. Because the water flows north directly along that street and then spills over into a giant retention pond, and then, or detention pond, and then flows into the creek. But there's just so much water. If you look at any aerial view, there's standing water directly behind that tree line. And so,
When you say standing water, you mean all the time?
on Google Maps, it looks like a flooded field right across his property. And so, I don't know, this is some kind of big collaborative effort we're going to have to do with the county as well as.
So you're saying, if I understood you correctly, we need to work with the county and see a possible solution.
Yes, sir. 'Cause
Prevent
there's-
the water from even coming that way.
Yes, sir. 'Cause
Slow
I
it
mean,
down.
on a hot sunny day, there's probably still going to be water over there, and then you get a big rain event, and it's just going to immediately overflow every time.
Thank you, sir. Alderman Bledsoe.
We've had this problem many times, and my yard floods too when we have big rain, but I got a bigger pipe than you got. I got one about that big. And right behind there is a small pond that catches water, and then when it fills up, it comes forth. But that whole ditch down through there that they put in, I think inadequate to hold the water, because it goes behind his next door neighbor's house, and if she or he gets more water, they're gonna flood. Right now, they hadn't flooded, but that whole little ditch down through there, we need some help to try to deter that water to go elsewhere. Because he gets on one side, the water, and I get on the other side, and it all comes down to that ditch. So, and it's washed out one guy's driveway 3 times. So, if we can get some help from the county, that'd be good.
So you're talking about the ditch that you mentioned in the first part of your remarks is on county land or on city land?
Where the pond is, all that water, and I think that's the gravel pit now. I don't know if Mr. Billington still owns it or not. But all that water from there comes from, Robinson across up there and comes down this way and all funnels in right there. So on big rains, it's flooding. And, that's a low area where their house is and where the street is down through there, Sharon Drive. But if we can see if the county can help us out, deter that water to go elsewhere, that might help out some. But all the way down that little ditch in front of his house goes under his driveway, then goes behind the other house and goes behind the other houses. Then it makes a sharp S turn and wash out that guy's driveway, and then, washed out, it goes under there, then it goes in what do you call it?
Swag.
A swag, and goes down and goes through and gets in that guy's lake over there. And then it hits the big creek that comes out across Church Road. But yeah, we need some help if we can get it to deter some of that water, because it's come close to his house many times before.
I want to make sure I understand you. You're asking Mr. Box and Mr. Malavasi, well, they already seem to have a grasp on it. So you're asking for the city to contact the county supervisor of that area and see if we can, if they'll do something? Is it?
Yes, sir, if we can relieve, we need a little relief there in that area, because whenever the big rains come, that's what's gonna happen. And it's been doing that for a while, and like I say, that guy at the other end, on the north end, it's washed out his whole driveway 3 times. So if we can get a little help from the county to deter that water, go somewhere else, spread it out somewhere, it'd probably help out quite a bit.
Well, I know it can be irritating, because I was raised in a house by the railroad track, and every time a big rain would come, the yard would flood. Except that house was built in 1910, so it was way off the ground.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, we'd actually get in wash tubs and float around out there and try to knock each other out. So I know what you're talking about with the water. As long as it doesn't get in your house, that's the main thing. And when you were talking about a culvert being washed out, could be possibly washed out, were you talking about the culvert, Mr. Sam, under your drive, or the culvert out there on the street?
The culvert that you put in on Austin Road, the water's bubbling underneath. That's gonna create a problem for your road.
It'll eat it out.
Yeah, it'll eat it out. And, after a while, it tries to drain out, but it can't drain out too well when the water keeps coming back through a force that it does. And that's coming from the other side.
Other side being the county side?
Yes.
Well, I will call the county supervisor tomorrow, if that's all right, if that's what you wish, and ask them would they go out and study it and have them contact Mr. Box. Is that all right with you, Mr. Box? I didn't mean to wake you. Yeah.
That's fine.
All right, so we'll do that tomorrow, Mr. Sam. I'll call the county supervisor,
Okay.
ask the supervisor to get in touch with Mr. Box, our public works director.
They can come out and talk to me too. I'm at home all the time.
All right, sir. Well, I will tell the supervisor, then what they do is up to them. But
Okay.
main thing is try to get them out there to look at it, so you maybe get some relief, and your neighbors can get some relief.
Yeah, I hope we do.
Yeah. Anybody else have any questions for Mr. Guy? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. All right. Mr. Andrew, it is your turn. Well, Mr. Andrew's coming up here. I'd like to recognize Mr. Daniel Finestone. He is our IT guy that's put all this stuff in, all this equipment, so you can get a better grasp of what's going on. Thank you, Mr. Daniel. He's hiding out back there. He's a big University of Memphis fan. And so is Alderman Bledsoe. Mr. Andrew, it's all yours, sir.
Thank you. All right, so we have case number 2025-017. This is a text amendment to adopt the 2024 International Codes. So for the introduction, this case is a request from the Fire Department and the Planning Department to adopt the 2024 editions of the national and international codes that the city currently follows. So specifically, this will be done by amending the Code of Ordinances, Chapter 8, Buildings and Building Regulations, Article 3, Technical Codes, Section 8-52, Adoption of Codes, and Section 8-53, Additions, Insertions, Deletions, and Changes, by replacing these two sections with an updated set of codes. While the city of Horn Lake has its own unique code of ordinances, these realistically cannot cover all of the specific regulations and standards in all facets of fire and building regulations. So therefore, the city has adopted various national and international codes to enforce, all of which currently are either 2017 or 2018 editions of those code books. And the city is now wishing to instead follow the 2024 versions of those code books. This is partially sparked by the need by the fire department to be following a more recent year of the fire code in order to help their effort to receive a better fire rating by the ISO. And so if you look up there, we got the current text, and you can kind of scroll through these. I copy and pasted all of the current text as found in Municode. And basically, we have the 2018 International Building Code, the 2018 International Fire Code, the 2018 International Residential Code, the 2018 International Existing Building Code, the 2018 International Property Maintenance Code, the 2017 National Electrical Code, NFPA 70, the 2018 International Energy Conservation Code, the 2018 International Fuel Gas Code, the 2018 International Mechanical Code, and the 2018 International Plumbing Code. And, all right, so for our planning staff review and comments, the city of Horn Lake needs to move towards the more current versions of the codes shown on the previous slides. As of right now, the most urgent one needing replacement is the 2018 International Fire Code, which we are requesting to be replaced with the 2024 International Fire Code. And this is a request directly from the Horn Lake Fire Department, specifically from its fire chief and its fire inspector. And in addition, if there's anything else urgent as well, the building inspector within the planning department is wishing for the city to move to the 2024 International Building Code. And so planning staff sees no issue with this. Planning staff agrees that this is a good idea to replace our current technical codes with newer versions. And this isn't really much of a concern, but our only concern, if any, is that currently we have amendments to all of those codes. And so with such short notice to move to the new codes, we didn't have time to review all of these new code books and put in for amendments, but obviously you can adopt amendments at a later time. And so when we adopt these new codes, if anybody has any issues with any of these code books, we can easily come back here and make amendments to what we adopt. And so yeah, therefore, we recommend today simply repealing the sections of 8-52 and 8-53, leaving section 8-53 reserved for future infill, and then adding into section 8-52 the following text: adoption of 2024 International Building Code, 2024 International Fire Code, 2024 International Residential Code, 2024 International Existing Building Code, 2024 International Property Maintenance Code, 2024 National Electrical Code, NFPA 70, 2024 International Energy Conservation Code, 2024 International Fuel Gas Code, 2024 International Mechanical Code, and 2024 International Plumbing Code. And when we sent that to the Planning Commission, none of the commissioners found any issue with this. Their recommendation was to pass this as well, and they voted in favor unanimously. And I put up a possible motion to pass this, and that concludes the presentation.
Thank you, sir. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Andrew? Alderman Young.
Thank you for doing this, Mr. Andrew. I'm sure the fire chief, he's okay with moving to 24, aren't you?
Only thing we do need to do is amend some of the language that we have in there. I know Mr. Campbell knows what I'm fixing to tell him, but we do need to adopt the amendments of sprinkler on resident, because in that code it says all of them. So in our amendment that we had was to sprinkle any house over 5,000 square feet or any multi-family. dwellings, like townhomes, apartments, they all get sprinkled, no hassle. But resident, it has to be, it would be over 5,000 square foot, then we would, as the fire department, would ask for that house to be sprinkled. If not, they can come back before the board and ask for an amendment to waive that, but, and then the 8,000 square feet on commercial is sprinkled. Because in the code book, I think it still says 12.
Can you get me your amendments this week?
Yeah. I can send that over from the last ones that we had, yeah.
Yeah, I obviously have all the ones from the last one. I think we probably just need to make sure that the section numbers line up with the 2024 section numbers.
Yeah. About 99% sure they do, but we can check that, yeah. That's the only thing I would say you need to amend those two, that it's 8,000 square foot sprinkled, any commercial, and then any house over 5,000, but under 5,000, single family would not require a sprinkler system. But in the code book, and the fire department would love for every house to get sprinkled, but at this point in time, I don't know that that would be feasible.
Mayor,
Thank you, Chief. Alderman Young.
a couple more items. All these codes, and I know you're just looking at updating the 2024 fire code, but you mentioned other codes in there. The fire marshal's office, we're not jumping them or introducing something that the state fire marshal will not be affiliated with, right?
Oh, no, they want it.
Okay. We have other state codes in there. You have mechanical this and mechanical that and this, that, and the other. Will also be in line with those other state codes, sir?
Yeah, all that goes into it's the only code out there now. There's no other state code. It's all international code. So all your builders and everything go by these codes, but just to move to a new version, just for our rating for the city, you know, if it's over 5 years old, they start taking points away from us on our fire rating. So we're just trying to move forward with that. Good. So, you know, they adopt new codes every 2 years, but we don't try to come in here every 2 years, but every 4 to 6 years, we do need to move that up. And that'll be a occurrence thing that goes on and on. There's very, very little changing in the text, but it's just the adoption of the 2018 going to the 2025. If you read it, it's almost word for word, but every now and then they do add a little bit of texture, but it's not a lot text to that.
All right, Mr. Andrew, one more question if I may, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Who's going to update our city code to reflect that we've adopted these codes? Because over the last few years, 4 years, we've saw a lot of hypocrisy and argument within one code to another section, to this section. Who is going to be in charge of making sure that when we go to do something that we're not arguing with ourselves?
I mean, we can all take a part in reviewing all the code books and see if there's any conflicting language between the international codes and the city codes. I mean, any board member can bring this up, and then if anybody sees any conflicting language, they can let us know, and we'll propose it the same, just like this. But you know, we've been operating under the 2017 and 2018 versions for a very long time, and I don't recall anything conflicting with each other. You know, as you may know, these are physically bound books that we can get delivered here, and then you can find them online, and thousands of cities across the country adopt these same codes. And so, you know, there may be conflicting language city to city regarding these codes, but I have not come across any yet. But if we do, then we can bring it up and change it.
Yeah, I think we need to start some kind of review on that, though, to make sure that we change the wording from 2018 to 2024 in our code. All that needs to be done. And I'm not saying go word for word, go down through our code, and I don't have a problem working with, but you know as well as I do, as other board members here do, we've had people come up here to ask to do this or ask to do that, and we're arguing with ourselves because this thing says this and this thing. We need to start working and get ahead of the ball and fix that. I'm not saying tomorrow, but I'm saying we just need to be we need to start looking at these things, what we're adopting as to what we have.
For sure, and I totally agree with that. We can absolutely, and this will take a while because these code books they could be hundreds of pages long. I mean, some of them are 100 pages, some of them are a few hundred pages, and but when it comes down to it, there may be a few things on the broad scale that could conflict with our language, but a lot of these code books are getting down to like the nuts and bolts of, the centimeters of this versus that, which, we really don't need to put that in our city codes. But we can absolutely maybe form, some study sessions just to look through the books and just make sure.
Anyone else? If I understand you correctly, then the board can go back and make amendments. Whatever they adopt tonight, they can go back and tweak it, as you said.
Yes, sir. And I will point out, I didn't put them in the report because it would have been a really, really long report, but there are multiple amendments for a lot of these codes currently in our ordinance that we adhere to, and it would have taken a long time to go through every single new code book and match them up. I mean, if I just had a few more weeks, I could have put every single amendment up here, but yes, we can absolutely in the next few meetings look through the 2024 versions of those code books and just make sure that we can adopt these same amendments to them.
When did you want it to go into effect?
Well, the fire department would like it immediately. The building inspector wants to have this go into effect. He wants the building code to go into effect the same time as the fire code. That way our fire inspector and building inspector can be on the same page. Right now, and I'll put this out there, right now, all the cities in DeSoto County are currently meeting to move to, I believe, the 2024 version of everything. Sometime in the next week or so, all the planning directors in DeSoto County are getting together to actually discuss the same thing we're discussing right now. We're just trying to move ahead as fast as we can before our ISO inspections come. But yeah, if we can get the building code and the fire code passed at least tonight, that would be great. But we are looking for all of them at the same time, just to make it simpler.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? I've got a mundane question here. Projects that have been approved but not completed, are they still going to be under the 2018 codes, or are they going to be under those people aren't going to have to go back and make adjustments, are they, if they've been approved already?
Mayor, I can speak real quick on this.
Hey, Chief.
There won't be any changes until the board if you made the motion tonight to adopt, it can't go in effect to at least 30 days or 60, but you can span it out 60 or further. But maybe my thing would be, say, maybe we make this effective by May 1st. And that way, if there's any amendments, we get that into the board and have them added in. But I think everything's going to flow from the 18 right over into it. As gently as it can. It's pretty much the same amendments, just like the fire department has, the building department has, but most of those amendments is just in case the city had an ordinance against this, but most of it is just, the biggest problem we have in the text is sometimes a building ordinance, but these are all building code that your architects designed the building by that 18 code. Just like the animal shelter was designed on the 18 code. He couldn't use any other code. He had to use that code to design that building and spec it out. So that's the same thing we're currently doing now. And we'll stay on the 18 code until this officially goes in effect, whether it's tonight or May 1st or whatever the board so chooses on that, or if you want to wait till July 1st, but whatever the board wants to do on that.
Thank you, sir. What I was concerned about is trying to make it retroactive. If y'all had approved something and then we adopt this, are you going to go back and make someone who's building a house or a business conform to the 2024? Or if they were approved of the 2018 and there are some amendments or some changes?
We won't penalize anybody for the changeover, and just like what Chief Linville said, they got their permits for it. We reviewed the plans. Those specific plans adhering to that specific year was approved, and then our building inspector did his inspections based on that 2018 year. Now, if we are in that time period where they're in the middle of multiple inspections, we're not going to have our building inspector suddenly start doing this approved project on 2024 codes. Because like Chief Linville said, the plans we have in our office, they always have a notation on it on which international code it is. So if you flip through our plans, they'll pretty much all say, this one follows 2018 fire code, 2018 building code, and so on.
Thank you. Anybody else have any questions? Do we have a motion?
Mayor,
Alderman Young.
I'd like to make the motion on case number 2025-017 to adopt the 2024 international codes for the fire department, and I would like it to be effective 30 days after the second reading of our minutes at our next board meeting. So they'll actually, that's when they would take effect. So any permit before then would be the next, the current one, and then we approve it at the next board meeting under our second reading, and it would be 30 days after that. That's when it would take effect.
So your motion is for the 2024 fire code, and is that going to include the building?
Yes, sir.
All right. It includes the building also, building codes. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. We have a motion by Alderman Young, a second by Alderman Klein. Did you have some remarks, Mr. Campbell?
Mr. Mayor, I would urge the board to go ahead and adopt all of the 2024 international codes as opposed to just those two.
Do them all.
Yes, because that's going to create confusion if we're trying to do some under 2018 for a while and then some under 2024.
Mayor.
Thank you, sir.
Amend my motion.
Yes, sir.
All codes currently to be updated to 2024 international codes as suggested by the planning department to take effect after the second reading of the minutes, 30 days after that reading.
All right.
Mayor?
How about your second?
Mayor, what about when what the chief was saying far as the 5,000 square feet, do we need to put that amendment in there also?
Yeah, I'll be sure to get the fire amendments
All right, add it in there.
this action tonight.
Okay, very good. Yes, second's good.
We have a motion by Alderman Young, a second by Alderman Klein. Is there any more discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Young.
Aye.
Alderman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Bledsoe.
Aye.
Alderman Klein.
Aye.
Motion carries 4 in favor, none opposed, 3 absent. We're on letter B.
Mr. Mayor, this is a public hearing on this.
Okay, this is a public hearing, which I now declare open. Mr. Andrew, it's a text amendment about political signs. You have the floor, sir.
So we have case number 2025-018. For the introduction, we have this case is a request by the City of Horn Lake to amend the Code of Ordinances, Appendix A, Zoning, Article 6, Sign Regulations, specifically to repeal letter L, political signs. So this is a collaborative desire by both the mayor of the City of Horn Lake as well as the planning department to allow a broader expression of political free speech in the format of signage. And this will protect the city from any possible litigation that may result from any actions by code enforcement or the planning department, both of which were tasked previously with, or currently with, enforcing these sign regulations and sign permitting. And so we have the current text as found in Municode up on the screen there. So this is exactly the way it's laid out if you were to look it up on the computer. We have letter L, political signs, the title of the section. And then we have numbers 1 through 7. And so I'll go through them real quick. We have number 1. Political signs are limited to 1 sign per candidate per premises, except on corner or multi-frontage lots where 1 sign per frontage shall be allowed, with the exception of signs not exceeding 4 square feet, which require no permit. And then number 2, no sign shall exceed the allowable square footage for the zoning district in which the sign is placed. No sign shall be permitted on private property without permission of the owner. Number 3, signs may not be posted until 45 days before and must be removed 5 days after any election to which it refers. Notwithstanding the foregoing, signs may not be posted at any city-owned polling place until the day before any election to which the sign refers, and must be removed the day after such election. Number 4, permits will be required for all signs exceeding 4 square feet. Number 5, all signs must be located at least 10 feet off of the right-of-way. Number 6, the candidate represented on the sign shall be responsible for placement and removal of all signs. Number 7, any person who shall violate the terms, conditions, or provisions of this ordinance shall be guilty of misdemeanor, and upon conviction thereof shall be sentenced to pay a fine not to exceed $500, and in case of continuing violations, without reasonable effort on the part of the defendant to correct the same each day, the violation continues thereafter shall be a separate offense. And so for our planning staff review and comments, we have that. It was recently brought to the attention of the planning department by Mayor Latimer that we currently have a regulation in our sign ordinance that a nearby city used to have and got sued over enforcing. This particular regulation that was mentioned was the one which prohibits any candidate from posting any signs more than 45 days before an election. After receiving direction to make a case to remove this regulation, the research conducted by the planning department ended up leading to the conclusion that all of the political sign regulations are problematic for many of the same reasons. And based on cases where cities have been taken to court over their sign ordinances, there have been multiple rulings at the state level and federal level that give indication that Horn Lake's political sign ordinances are not safe to enforce. We cannot afford to put ourselves in a position to be sued over this kind of issue. While there are many pros and cons to these kinds of ordinances, we think that it makes the most sense to repeal this particular section and then possibly find a creative and fair way to replace it with something that makes the city free of clutter without violating anyone's right to free speech. And much of this dilemma was discussed in detail at the Planning Commission meeting, which can be seen in the Planning Commission meeting minutes. I won't read the meeting minutes.
Because they've read it. They've read that section.
Yes, sir. I'm just doing this for the whole public, since this is a public hearing. If anyone is interested in what those meeting minutes were, we could discuss it. But basically, it was just a brief discussion on previous Supreme Court cases at any state levels and the federal level, and the pros and cons, where if you are to delete all these regulations, you're going to have signs everywhere all year long, potentially. We're basically just going to move to, if this is repealed tonight, we would basically move to an honor system where all the candidates would pull up their signs, and hopefully, all the unhappy citizens that don't have their candidate win would pull up their signs in their yards if neighbors have issues with them. This is basically going to be a free-for-all out there with the signage, and we're just going to play it by ear and see if there's going to be a massive amount of sign clutter out there or any complaints. And then if there are, we can absolutely create legislation in a fair way in the future to address these sign issues. So with that being said, this did pass in the Planning Commission 3-2, and with the recommendation to repeal all of Section L. And if anybody wants to go number by number on this, we can absolutely do that. You know, I had spoken with the city attorney before the meeting on any potential issues with this, and maybe one we can possibly revisit is the clause about signs may not be posted at any city-owned polling place until the day before any election to which the sign refers and must be removed the day after such election. Possibly we could put a protection on these polling places if that's necessary, but the board could also repeal the whole thing in its entirety as in the report. That concludes the presentation.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Campbell, did you want to have any remarks?
Mr. Mayor, just on that particular issue, I do think it's important that the city maintain some level of authority over its property. And you can do that. That's a different animal than telling private property owners that they can't have a political sign in their yard. So I do think it's important that we keep that provision about no signs on a city polling place until one day before the election, and they have to be removed the day after. And we'll just put that, we'll take that out of the zoning ordinance and probably put that over into the public property ordinance where we have a section on signs now. Is mine not working? Yeah, I didn't think so. But I do think it's important to keep that provision if the board so chooses to repeal all the other political sign provisions.
Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak on this matter? Yes, ma'am. Will you please come forward and give your name and address for the minutes, please, ma'am? And the microphone is that little mouse-like thing up there. You need your name and address, please, ma'am.
My name's Caitlin Martirano. I've lived in Horn Lake since 2016. It's not on this issue.
If it's not on this issue, it's not the time.
Okay, so I can speak after.
Did you sign in the citizens' remarks back?
Yes,
That would be
sir.
the time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. On the issue of the political signs, is there anyone out there has any questions or any remarks in favor, opposed? All right. There being none, I declare, yes, ma'am. Okay, Zark, have the alderman discuss it now or after
Yes,
the
sir.
public
Well,
hearing?
during the public hearing, Mayor. Perfect.
Okay, go ahead, Alderman. Alderman Johnson.
Mr. Andrews, is this text that we are looking at and that we want to amend, is this the same as the state, what it says for the state?
And anybody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't recall seeing any text that the state has on this particular issue. Typically, cities handle signage city to city, and you know, this falls within our overall sign ordinance, and so this is just a small section within our sign ordinance. A lot of cities do struggle with political sign ordinances. This is we don't have to feel bad about this. This is a very, very common set of regulations that frequently get challenged in multiple cities. And but as far as going against any state regulations, this would not conflict with any state regulations. If we were to get rid of this would not conflict with any of the state regulations.
Alderman Young.
Did I just hear you right and say the state doesn't have any regulations on political signs?
I mean, the state regulates signs. I mean,
How do they regulate them? What is the regulation?
I was going to, first of all, just mention, like, big signs being close to right-of-ways. Like, obviously, on Goodman Road, you can't put signs of any kind in the public right-of-way, which is...
So the state does have laws against signs?
Yes, but as far as political signs, I don't recall any...
Well, the signs. So that would fall under this category of signs, whether it's political or advertising.
Correct,
Sign.
yes. MDOT...
And I believe their law says 10 feet
That's a city ordinance. I don't know what MDOT's
Have it on
policy
the-
is
You
at.
can't have a sign in the right-of-way or within 10 feet of the right-of-way. They will take it down. Believe me, they need to take it down. My point is, you're asking for anarchy. I have no problem with moving it from 10 feet to 5 feet to get the signs closer. I think we have to regulate something because we're not even enforcing what we got now. If you don't believe me, take 5 minutes out there. And I don't know why. I can't get an answer to that.
If I may interrupt you, sir, I told them not to enforce it because South Haven got sued for enforcing it.
I know, but
All right.
they got for enforcing the 45-day deal. That was one of the biggest things. Am I right, Mr. Billy? That's right. Yeah.
So you saying that we're not enforcing it and why, and I was just giving you the answer, sir. That's why we're not enforcing it, because we don't want anyone to follow the example of what happened in South Haven, and we end up having to hire Mr. Billy to represent us in court. That's why it's not being enforced.
Right, the 45-day thing, but not the position of the sign.
No, it's not the
Right,
position.
that's
If you
what
want to
I'm
go by
discussing.
that, then half the signs in Horn Lake would have to be down because they're putting them within 10 feet of the right of way.
Well, that's where I'm going with that.
Uh-huh.
That's where I'm going.
Okay?
I don't think we need to abolish where we put the signs. I would think we could move it closer to the right-of-way. And of course, not a lot of people understand how to find that right-of-way. You know, that's always a confusion, and I agree with that. But they all have the same thing that we have, a computer, and they can go to GIS and locate that. But I don't think I don't have a problem, like you say, doing away with the 45 days. I don't have a problem with that. That's fine. But we need to make sure that in this ordinance, Mr. Billy, if we can, and Mr. Andrew, that the state roads, Goodman, 51, and 301 are not added to what we're talking about, because we will be violating a state law that does not allow the signs. If you come out here and say that you can just have anarchy and put a sign anywhere you want to, they're going to be up here in the middle of the parking lots and down the middle of 51. You can't do that.
So, a couple things. On that first note, I'm going to just bring this to you from the code enforcement's position. DeSoto County GIS is an interactive web map of estimated property line parcels. And so if, these are imaginary lines, and if you look at the right-of-way lines all over the city, there is no uniform distance of this property line is this many feet from the curb or gutter, the asphalt. And so even on Goodman Road, any particular road in the city, unless you've memorized the entire set of shapes on DeSoto County GIS, you're not going to know where property lines are. And so if you were to have any legislation saying you can't have political signs within 5 feet of the line or 3 feet of the line or 10 feet of the line, you're basically going to have code enforcement out on every property with tape measure, measuring out a sign based on some imaginary line, which every property owner is going to dispute. And they're going to say, well, you can't prove where my property line is. Nobody really knows where their actual property lines are unless they've looked at a survey. And so we were just trying to come up with a specific way to where you can have your signs on your property. Nothing in this is proposing to allow anybody to put signs in public rights-of-way. You can still have a prohibition on any signage in any public right-of-way, whether that's city property or state property. So we can still have that prohibition in effect.
So you will put that language in there?
Yes, if we want to, we can absolutely clarify, it's already written into our sign ordinances. This is going to get rid of just the political signs, and then all the other signs that are permitted in the city cannot be on any public right-of-way. And so any signs currently out in the public right of way, whether or not this is voted in yes or no, it's still not allowed.
Okay, I understand what you're saying. Let me ask you this, Mr. Billy, and then I know you got a question, I can see it on your face. If we allow Dave Young to put a political sign where it's going to be blocking traffic, and somebody hits somebody because they can't see around my sign, who's liable?
I probably will never answer that question
I understand
on
you
the open
wouldn't.
floor, but
But it would
thank you
put us
for
in
it.
it would put us in a hot seat because we allowed the sign to be there because our ordinance didn't effectively say it couldn't be.
Let me try to cut to the chase on the 10 feet. Our ordinance already says you can't have a sign, any sign within 10 feet of the public right of way, regardless of whether or not you repeal the political
you.
sign ordinance
That's
or
what I
not.
was looking for.
This is a non-issue, because it's already in the ordinance. You can't have a sign within 10 feet of the public right of way,
That's right.
period.
That's the correct answer. Thank you.
That's basically what I said.
No.
It is.
Said the state didn't have a law, is what you
You
said.
asked about our ordinances as well, and if you look into our sign ordinances, for example, a commercial sign on commercial property, it's always going to be on private property, and it will be 10 feet. If you're standing on private property, looking at the right-of-way, it's going to be 10 feet behind that right-of-way line. And so if there's, any question about where these signs are going to be, just as Mr. Campbell said, whether or not tonight's vote is a yes or a no, it's already prohibited, and it'll still be prohibited to have any signage in a right-of-way. And if you just do a random sample of right-of-ways throughout the city, we typically, there may be a few nuances where we need to revisit property lines, but I'm going to say 90-something% of property lines at intersections are going to give you maybe a 10-foot buffer, 15-foot buffer, 20-foot buffer, 30-foot buffer around all lines of sight for cars to see down the road. And so, this is obviously so we have the right to cut the grass there, cut the trees there. And
How are those lines determined?
surveys, plats.
GIS.
Yes, GIS is a very good way to look at the estimated
Correct.
lines. But, as I said, it's very difficult to have everybody memorize where these property lines are. Code enforcement frequently looks at GIS to get a good idea. If there's a dispute on property lines, we do have the surveys, we do have the plats, we do have the property deeds to look at.
I don't think anybody's asking them to take a tape measure out there, but that's what GIS is for. And it works. It's not 100%, no, it's not, but it does work. And there are laws within the state about signage, and we need to make sure we do not interrupt that.
Absolutely, yes, sir.
When I was on the Board of Supervisors, if I had to go inspect the road, somebody wanted something done, I'd get in the middle of the road and pace it off, and the county road manager said, "You shouldn't do that." I said, "Why?" He said, "Because sometimes those roads aren't exactly where they're supposed to be." From the old days and even here. So get an exact thing, and I ask all the candidates, I know, because I've been through this, you have friends that go out and put up your signs. Thank goodness. And for those of you who put up signs for me in the past, thank you very much. But the right-of-way is not the edge of the pavement. The right-of-way extends beyond the pavement. So what this says here is you can't put it in the right-of-way. You got to be 10 feet back of the right-of-way. So in some of these cases, you might be up halfway in somebody's yard.
And like I said, Mayor, if I may, I don't even care if we move it to 5 foot. I'm fine with that. But we just cannot allow them to have anarchy and just move the darn thing into the traffic cone in the middle of the street.
Oh, I agree with you. I agree with you because you certainly don't want anybody to get hurt. Thank goodness all of y'all and your people have been real good about not blocking the line of vision or anything. But let's just, as Mr. Still alive from Mr. Billy, let's just get to the chase. This is about the time limit on the signs. We were not allowed them to be put up till 45 days before the election. That's when South Haven was sued over it, and they lost, and it cost them a pretty good chunk of money. All I brought forth in this was that, just do away with the time frame on them. You might say you can't put them up 60 days before the election or 2 months before the election. But I guess any kind of time frame would be against the Constitution, wouldn't it, Mr. Billy?
Yes, sir. That's the problem is you're, singling out political signs and putting a duration on it. There's probably a way to do that, but you have to apply it to all temporary signs or all event-related signs. And our ordinance doesn't do that. It singles out political signs and puts that duration on it.
So is there anybody else in the audience who wishes to speak? Is there anybody on the board that wishes to speak? Anybody? That being the case, I declare this public hearing now closed. Okay, do we have a motion?
Mayor.
Alderman Young.
I make the motion to go ahead on case 2025-018 to repeal the political sign regulations as written in the code book of the city of Horn Lake.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Young. We have a second by Alderman Bledsoe. Mr. Campbell, will that motion be sufficient?
Yeah, yes, sir. Just so we're clear, that'll be everything that was presented with the exception of the city polling places signs, which we're going to put over into a different ordinance. Yeah, yes, sir. I don't want to rehash that again, but there's no state regulation on political signs. Yeah, yes, sir.
All right, any more discussion?
And just to be clear, that specifically came out of number 3. I had written into the report the entire sign ordinance, numbers 1 through 7, and however anyone wants to make a motion on it, just so we're clear, that number 3 had the most problematic clause, and then also the clause that we want to keep.
Mr. Billy, you have something?
No, I think we're on the same page.
Is there any more discussion?
Yes, I'd like to speak.
Public hearing's closed, ma'am. Okay, well, Robert's Rules of Order. Yes, ma'am. We're just glad you're here. Thank you for coming. There be any more discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Klein.
Aye.
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 Motion carries 4 in favor, none opposed, 3 absent. All right, moving on along. We got a Scribner's error. Mr. Andrew. Mr. Billy, did you have something?
Thank you. We got case number 2025-021. This case is a request for the Board of Aldermen to issue an order approving the notation of a Scrivener's error on 2 plats that are showing a street name that is different than what is actually being used by the businesses on the street. The request is to change the name of Hobbs Drive to Hobbs Cove on Final Plat 1, revision of Lot 19, 7, Lot 20, Center Street Industrial Park, and Final Plat, second revision of Lot 6, Center Street Industrial Park. And so if you scroll down a little, we got an aerial view of where we're talking about here. This is just off of East Center Street. We have on DeSoto County GIS, it listed as Hobbs Drive on that horizontal part, and then nothing labeled on that vertical part. So when the planning department submitted final plat second revision of Lot 6 Center Street Industrial Park to the county for recording, they informed us that it looks like the whole street shown on the plat should be Hobbs Drive. And so this was coming from the county's recording office telling us this. And then so when the planning department called DeSoto County GIS, they also believed that the street should be Hobbs Drive and that this is what is shown on their map. And additionally, the street sign at the beginning of the street says Hobbs Drive. And so, but the problem is that all the businesses on the street have a Hobbs Cove mailing address. And the planning department talked with each business that currently has a building on the street, and they all wish to use Hobbs Cove instead of Hobbs Drive so that they don't need to go through the complex difficulties of changing their address in multiple documents. And we asked, how did this happen? Literally no one knows. Nobody knows why the businesses chose to go with Hobbs Cove in their documents, and they were able to get Hobbs Cove as an address. And so the businesses are requesting us to just go ahead and have the name officially changed to Hobbs Cove. That way they're not conflicting with the GIS map or the county plats. And so fast forward to now, the county is not recording the plat until there's a clear designation on the real name of every part of the street and until the plat reflects everything accurately. The county requested us to get an order from the Board of Aldermen to fix the Scrivener's error before the plat can be recorded, and before DeSoto County GIS can change the map. The planning department and the businesses on the street believe this is the easiest solution, and to change the street sign to say Hobbs Cove, and then record the plat as is, but with a note indicating the Scrivener's error. When researching the situation further, the planning department noticed that the other plat recorded for the vacant lot at 6586 East Center Street shows a plat listing Hobbs as a drive instead of a cove, so this may need to be changed as well. But just as a clarification to make the plat more accurate for future reference, and I guess I jumped ahead. Nobody seems to be sure why the businesses all listed themselves as Cove, but it's certainly acceptable for them to be listed as Cove, as this street does turn into a dead-end turnaround, which is typically what coves are. And we have the zoomed-in screenshots on the next page, on the next couple pages. Yes, thank you. We got the Hobbs Drive listed there and Hobbs Cove listed on the other part on one plat, and then if you go to the next page, the other plat just has the Hobbs Drive listed there. And then the next pages are the the full plat, the signature page, and then the full plat, and then the other page 1 and 2 of the plats on the next 2 pages. And this is just if anybody wants to go back and look at those. And then at the end, we have a possible motion to approve the notation of the Scrivener's error to show Hobbs Drive to show Hobbs Cove instead of Hobbs Drive on both plats. And so that concludes that presentation.
Thank you, sir. Very good, and thank you for all the information in the packet. Do we have a motion?
Mayor,
Alderman Johnson.
I move that we accept the request for an order approving the notation of 2 Scrivener's errors to show that Hobbs Drive should instead be Hobbs Cove on final plat 1, revision of lot 19, 7, lot 20, Center Street Industrial Park, and final plat, second revision of lot 6, Center Street Industrial Park, and this is case number 2025-021.
Thank you very much. We have a motion by Alderman Johnson. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Klein. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Aye.
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 Motion carries 4 in favor, none opposed, 3 absent. Moving down to, sir. Okay. If y'all will excuse us for about 10 minutes, before we take a break, Commissioner Freeman, it's good to see you out and about. And the 3 right behind you, too. The 3 right behind us, some of our leading volunteers here in the city. Thank y'all for coming tonight. I hope your brewers are doing okay. All right, thank you. We're going to take about a 10-minute break. Hold on, Blitz, hold it. You ready? Yes, sir. All right. We're back. Thank you for your patience there. At this time, we are down to number 7, citizens' remarks. Ms. Sarah Zambroni. Ms. Sarah? Ms. Sarah's not here? All right. Ms. Caitlin, I can't pronounce your last name. Ma'am? Martirano. Please, ma'am. Come on up. Look, don't feel bad. You say it's your first time. I forgot to announce it was a public hearing, and I've been doing this for 12 years, so don't feel bad. Now, there's a 3-minute time limit on this, and what it is, the citizens make their remarks to the board, and then the board doesn't normally take a vote because they don't have time to research anything. So when it gets 3 minutes, I'm going to have to cut you off. So you got everything, haven't you, Miss Julia? You'll have it on this right here. All right. All right. The floor is all yours, Miss Caitlin.
Yes, sir, thank you. I guess third time's a charm, huh? I've been a resident here of Horn Lake since 2016. I guess around last summer, we got a letter in the mail from City Hall or wherever they, Public Works, that they'd be doing some water, putting water lines in. The letter said that our yards would be cleaned up or nicer than they were before. So fast forward to here, March 1st, I had a fire hydrant put in my yard. It was right next to the driveway, right here next to the driveway. I have pictures, anything you need. I hit that driveway, the hydrant in my driveway. I hit it with my car, it created a hole. I called the city, they told me they were gonna have the engineer come out and inspect it. The engineer came out, he inspected it. The following week on Monday, they removed the fire hydrant and put it in a different location in my yard. I called AJ down at City Hall, because I went and had a quote on my vehicle. She said that the contractor is gonna be responsible for paying for this, that is between me and the contractor. Here it's been 3 weeks. I've been trying to get a hold of the contractor. I went up to his office in Memphis, nobody's there. I have called and called, nobody's there, and I'm getting the runaround of this call the contractor, it's between you and the contractor.
All right, Mr. Steve, would you contact the contractor and have the contractor contact this lady? There's no reason that they won't even return a call.
Yes, sir. We've been following like the standard protocol with anything that comes in with this contract to contact Neil Schaefer, because they're in charge of the contractor, so we've been calling them to get in touch with Falcon. I believe it's Falcon.
So I was picking on the wrong fella, is what you're saying.
That,
I was picking on the wrong fella. I need to ask Mr. Vince. Mr. Vince, would you contact the contractor and please see if he will respond to this lady?
Yes, sir, and we did that, Mayor. We contacted the contractor and told him, you know, that he needs to look into it with his insurance company and, you know, respond to the lady's, claim there. So that's where we left it, basically. And, so, you know, that's kind of the way that's typical protocol for us. If there's an issue on a contract like that, that's what the contractor has insurance for. We let him deal with it, and his insurance will contact her, and they work through it with their insurance company.
Yeah, well, they've got to contact her so she can get information where to file.
Yes.
Mr. Campbell, do you have anything, sir?
Well, Mr. Mayor, I was going to say, we should have a copy of the contractor's insurance certificate on file that we can provide to you, and you can at least contact his insurance company directly, and that should get his attention then.
Right, okay, and also, these were left, about 60 of them in my yard. Very heavy pieces. They're from where they did move the fire hydrant.
Well, I couldn't hear you, ma'am.
Okay, I'm sorry. These pieces were left in my yard when they moved the fire hydrant. There's about 60 of them all in my yard I had to clean up. I did call Kelsey down there at Public Works. She said, I'll get a hold of the contractor. And they're supposed to clean it up. So I just asked because it's a safety issue. I live on a main road, and if I hit, you know, another car with my mower with this, or if it hits me, A lot of residents are upset. It took a lot for me to come here today because I get nervous talking around people.
Don't be, man.
Thank you. But a lot of your residents are upset with the mess, and the city just tells you, well, deal with the contractor. And I can't get a hold of this guy. Like I said, it's been 3 weeks. And then I was told that it was Public Works' responsibility to clean this up. So I'm just here today to, to figure out who's supposed to be responsible for this.
All right, well, Mr. Box or Mr. Vince, if one of y'all will contact, whichever one of y'all, it sounds like the contractor should be responsible. I don't know. If y'all could get in touch and help this lady get her yard cleaned up, sure would appreciate it.
Yes, sir. We'll take care of that.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, yes, thank you.
Mr. Hoss.
Don't start till I get there.
Turn it on
Make a
right
motion
now.
to adjourn.
Wait a second. Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing?
Good afternoon. Well, good evening, sir.
Good evening, good evening. Glad, hope everybody's doing good. All right, we went to court today. Glenn Ashley, 1876 Church Road. I'm gonna get that out. And the piece of property we're talking about is 1962 Church Road, and went to court today. And right now, it's just a slow process, and they are making a little bit of headway, but I think you need to give this lady a raise. She has really, really helped us out, and she's steadily coming by the house, Miss Belinda. She is really doing a fantastic job, and I just want to let y'all know where we're at right now.
Well, thank you. I'm glad they're making progress. I know it's been a problem for a
29
lot of years down
Yes,
there.
sir.
And
Yes.
I agree with you that Miss Belinda has really been a bird dog on this.
Yes, but she has been there. She is really, every time I look up, she's coming down the driveway, coming down the road over there, and that makes us feel real good. And we're seeing a lot more places. And they're coming to my house because I set off the darn alarm a lot, but we'll talk about that later. But anyway, thank y'all.
Does anybody have any questions or comments for Mr. Hoss? Anybody have any?
Need to ask.
Yeah.
I'll answer anything. This is the only time I get to talk. I wish we did this every week. Okay, thank y'all again. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Miss Elizabeth Anderson. Good evening, Ms. Anderson.
Good evening. I'm kind of nervous too, Tom.
Don't be nervous. We're probably more nervous than you. I've got your name and address all right here, ma'am.
Okay. First of all, I'm sorry I haven't been at this meeting. I need to start coming to the meetings and see what's going on. The next thing I want to talk about is my grandsons coming over to my house and play. My oldest grandson, he's 5 right now, and we used to go in my backyard and play, but he started breaking out in hives. So when his father got the trampoline, the trampoline is a little bit bigger than this, not too much bigger than this. And I have it sitting on my driveway that goes straight to the back. But the driveway does not go all the way to the back. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
So it just stopped at the back of, sort of like the back of my house. And I have the trampoline sitting there for them to play on when they come over. Code enforcement told me that I had to move it and move it in the backyard. So I just want to know why I can't just have it at the very end of the house in the back, and it's not sitting out in the front. It's not sitting out in the front. It always sits on the side at the back. Not in the very back of the house, but at the corner of the back of the house.
All right. Does anybody on the board have any questions? Alderman Johnson.
Ma'am, thank you for being here. Was the trampoline on concrete?
Yeah, it's on concrete.
Yeah, now, I don't know anything about this case or what code enforcement did, but it's pretty
Okay.
dangerous to have, in my opinion, a trampoline on concrete, just in case somebody falls or, falls
Well,
off.
he got a caged in.
It's caged in?
It's caged in
Yes, ma'am.
around it.
Yes.
It's not that big. It's just big enough for at least two small people can get in there. Now, a big person can get in there, but that person can't jump like anybody else because it's for a small child.
Yes, ma'am.
You know.
Thank you.
Mayor,
Alderman Young.
your backyard's fenced, right? Tell me.
Yeah, the fence is right there at the,
Right, at the back of that, I got it.
the corner.
Is there a gate there?
It's a gate there,
Yes, ma'am. To get into the backyard.
yes.
Would it be possible to move that trampoline to the backyard and then when your grandson comes over, move to this, where he could play on it?
Well, you know what, it could be possible, but the thing about it is, I'm not eligible to bring it constantly
fine.
back and forth, across there.
That's what I was asking. That's why, why,
Yeah.
so. The question is why can't you leave the trampoline on that paved area right beside your
Yeah.
house?
Yeah, it's not gonna be in the front, like I said, it's like, it's gonna be back on the side of it, at the very end of the house.
Right, well, I'm gonna let code enforcement deal with that one, but, you painted a better picture for me, so thank you.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Campbell.
this was a semi-recent amendment to the zoning ordinance dealing with swimming pools, wading pools, and trampolines. We modified that ordinance to make all of those things accessory uses. And accessory uses can't be in the front yard or the side yard. So that's the reason code enforcement is visiting this site.
I believe Alderman Bostic brought that up, didn't he?
Yes, sir.
Well, you're gonna have to deal with code because the city ordinance is it's required to be in the backyard, ma'am.
Okay. Well, I would like to also say, thank you to her because she was real nice to me on the phone, talking to her about the situation and everything.
Well, thank you very much. You're a very nice lady to say that. Thank you very much. Enjoy your grandchildren.
I'm trying. Thank you.
You have something on with John? All right. Ms. Kirby. Mr. Billy, would you be nice enough to, is it true? Pass that down. Thank you, sir. Hi, Ms. Carter.
Hey,
Hey.
I'm gonna swap what I was gonna say real quick. I do have a question. Her talking about the trampoline, and I know about the zoning ordinance and how they wanted it to be in the backyard and not on the side yard. But I am curious though, because we don't have a lot of things for our kids, and summertime's coming up, and a lot of our yards are downhill in the backyard, even though they're fenced in, you can't use a trampoline. So you have these things as your kids get older, and you buy these things to invest for your children to have things to do in the summertime or outside when it's pretty, but all of a sudden, we can afford a trampoline, we're gonna do that for our kids, it's great exercise, it'll get them out of the house. But now all of a sudden, our perfect spots are now, the city tells us we can't because our backyard is downhill. Or we can't because we've got this big tree in our backyard and there's not enough space between the fence and the tree. So, just wanted to throw that out there to maybe look at for maybe future reference, that we need more things for our kids and limiting the space in our homes that we own and telling us that we can't put a trampoline in a certain spot. I can understand a swimming pool, but a trampoline, that's an activity you can do at so many different various times throughout the year, whereas the swimming, you gotta worry about the water being clean and the temperature. So I think that's something we should look at though, because that's limiting some of the things that could help keep our kids out of trouble and out of the streets and different things like that. And I was just gonna ask, it's been a month since I brought the petition that I had the, people on my street sign. A lot of people have been asking where it's at, what are we doing about the speeding? So I just wanted to bring that up, that it's been a month and still
about the speed
patiently
bump?
waiting. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Box, you got an answer?
Yeah, I have consulted with Chief Bullen and Chief Linville, and their recommendations right now is to put stop signage at Heathcliff and stop signage at Cornwall to make those three-way stops. That will put a little bit of slowdown on that road.
So you're gonna try this first, and if it doesn't work, then go to the,
Try to do the stop signage first there. Heathcliff and Mayfair and Cornwall and Mayfair.
okay.
Will that include the lighting at Heathcliff? Cause it's kinda dark right there.
We're gonna put the flashing lights on them as well.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Carter. All right, Mayor, Alderman correspondence. I just want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. I know it's been a beautiful night to be in the backyard or in the front yard. And please remember, April the 1st is the primary election day. Please get out and vote for the candidate of your choice. Please get out and vote. If you don't vote, the old saying goes, don't complain. If you're not going to participate. All right. Alderman Young, you have something, sir. Alderman Johnson?
Yes, sir. Just want to thank you guys for participating in the Read Across America event that we had. The fire department, police department, mayor, the animal shelter, and Mr. Fox, was there. It was just a beautiful sight for you all to come and to support reading, and we greatly appreciate it. Some even participated in dodgeball. We had citizens that were there, parents, so thank you so much for just being an active part of our community.
Thank you for arranging all that. It's a lot of work. She had a lot of volunteers, had free food for everybody, even little Dr. Seuss hats to put on. And like Alderman Johnson said, many thanks to everyone who volunteered to come and do that. Do you have anything, Alderman Bledsoe?
Yes, sir. I want to thank everybody that prayed for my brother and all the phone calls and stuff we got, and we really appreciated it. Really made my family feel good, and he loved the city. Excuse me. He loved the city, and as a fire chief and Chief Linville and them worked together, and we hadn't got all the arrangements done yet, but we're still working on it. I think we're going to have to move it from where we're going to have it to church to Northwest Community College, so we'll have enough room. So as soon as we get it, we'll tell Chief Linville and the mayor, and they can put it out. So we're working on it. It's probably going to be Friday from 10 to 1, and from 1 we'll have the services, and then after that we'll go to the cemetery. But right now at the location of where we're having it, because we started out and ended up, it was too small for, we got phone calls, 90 people coming and a lot more people coming from one area. And we got people flying in from Florida and New York and stuff. So I really appreciate y'all and thank you very much.
Not only was Mr. Leroy Bledsoe an outstanding citizen and an outstanding fireman, both professionally and as a volunteer, he was also a veteran of the Vietnam War and won the Bronze Star for his combat actions in Vietnam. Do you have anything, Alderman Klein?
No, sir.
All right. Chief Pullen, do you have anything, ma'am?
No, sir, Mayor.
Anyone have questions or comments? Alderman Young.
Chief Pullen, this past week, a report came out to place Horn Lake number 6 safest city in the state of Mississippi. Your department is doing an outstanding job. Y'all are doing what you need to do. Protecting the citizens. Keep doing what you're doing. I don't know what kind of magic whistle you're blowing, but I'm gonna tell you what, you and the DC there, y'all got this department humming. And I want to thank you myself, and I know the citizens of Horn Lake want to thank you as well. So thank you very, very much.
Did you say, I haven't seen that latest ranking, sixth?
Sixth safest city in the state of Mississippi. And there's not another city in DeSoto County on that list. That woman and that guy over there have done it.
Thank you for pointing that out, Alderman, and thank y'all very much. Anyone else? Mr. Box, did you have anything?
Just to go back to the stop signage, does that need to be a board-approved decision?
I thought we approved just to try to control that traffic there.
I don't think so, Mr. Box. I think as Public Works Director, you can make that decision.
Okay. All right.
Anyone else? Questions for Mr. Box? Chief Limble, good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mayor.
I understand you're going to send a fire truck down for Chief Bledsoe's funeral?
Yeah, Chief Bledsoe was the fire chief here in '94 when I was hired, and he was the fire chief up till 2003. So he was here a little over 9 years. During that time, he did buy truck one in '96. '96 was dedicated over to him. His name's on it in honor of his service to the city. It was done in 2008 at our 50th anniversary for the fire department. So yeah, the family, as long as the family's wanting us to go, I've asked you, Mayor, if you didn't mind, and the board doesn't mind, that it's the reserve ladder truck at this point. So I have volunteers that would like to take it to the service and have it there for that of his service.
Anybody opposed? Please do that, Chief.
Yes, sir.
Anyone have any questions or comments for Chief Limble? Who's next down there? Mr. Drew. Mr. Drew, I believe you're going to have a big baseball opening ceremony on the 5th of April, aren't you, sir?
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Board. We are going to have that on the 5th. It'll be our opening day jamboree. We're going to have a parade and we'll start the Dizzy Dean League for this season. So,
sir,
it start the league this season.
Yes, sir.
On the 5th. Also, Mayor, I do want to have an update on the new playground. It should be completed in about a week and a half. They're moving pretty quickly. I do want to have a grand opening ceremony. I will get with everyone, and we'll put that out there whenever we get the details on that. And then finally, if Miss Julie has that flyer for the Easter event.
And the date of that is? What's the date of the Easter event, sir?
The Easter event is going to be on April the 12th, Saturday, April the 12th.
If you've ever seen organized chaos, please come out. Or semi-organized chaos, whichever one, or maybe just chaos, just come out. Because they have divided the fields up for a different age group, and it's like a buffalo stampede. They turn one group loose, they finished up, then they go to another one, and you have so many volunteers. How many eggs do you normally put out? I have no way to guess.
Thousands, Mayor.
Yeah. And there's a lot of activities going the same day, isn't it?
They go in like 5 seconds. I mean, as soon as you blow the horn out there, they're gone. So it's a sprint.
I remember one year they were trying to get everybody lined up to start, and one kid bolted, and the whole crew just ran past the announcer there. But there are a lot of activities that day too, aren't there, sir?
Yes, sir. We'll have the Easter Bunny for pictures. Animal Control said he's coming out with the fox. So we'll have everybody be out there.
Well, thank you for the wonderful job. Thank you, sir.
Sir, thank you.
Anybody have any questions or comments? Mr. Malavasi, good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mayor. I don't have anything at this point, Mayor.
Anyone have any questions or comments for Mr. Malavasi? Miss Sonia, good to see you.
Hello.
Miss Sonia, do you have some news? I know Mr. Glenn told me earlier in the week about the animal count, and I thought it was outstanding. Do you have those figures?
We currently have 13 cats and 88 dogs.
And it was, what, 60 or 70 cats?
Yeah, we were over 40 cats in-house and about 130 dogs in-house.
And you're down to 13 cats
13 cats,
and 88 dogs.
88 dogs.
Thank you for all the animals y'all have saved down there. And I know you work hard too, Miss Sonia. And thank you for the complete reports you provide to the board.
Oh, no problem. We'll do that the next one.
And tell the fox hello, please. That's our animal control director. He has a fox costume he wears. He's on TV and everything. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Alderman Young.
Two things, Ms. Sonia and Glenn, if you're watching. One, it was really good. Y'all was on Channel 5, I believe it was Sunday. Glenn was on there with Miss Nina. That was really, really good. Great PR. Bravo Zulu for that. And then last night, y'all had your thing at Texas Roadhouse. We went up there and got a to-go thing, and I hope that was very successful for your fundraising efforts from last night. So y'all are doing a good job. Keep it up, and proud that y'all are moving on with this thing. That's good. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Glenn will also be on the news tomorrow at Live at 9.
At
Glenn will
what
be on the
time,
news
ma'am?
Tomorrow at Live at 9.
Oh, what station? 3, 5?
I don't watch TV.
Okay.
I don't know.
There's one.
3. Thank you, Ms. Edelman. Channel 3 at 9 o'clock.
Mayor.
Sir.
Y'all are not doing the bingo, Glenn told me last night, because they canceled it over at the whatever Lucky Dog or whatever it's called.
Oh, they had a St. Patrick's fundraiser for the wild bird rehab last night, so I will be there next week.
You'll be there next. Okay, so it wasn't canceled. It just was canceled for that one night.
Yeah, they had a special fundraiser for the Mississippi Wildlife Rehab, I think that's what it is.
That's good.
Yeah, and Glenn's at Texas Roadhouse tonight. I had my choice, and I picked here.
Looks like you would have learned by now. Okay. Oh, before I forget, we will not be meeting April the 1st. That's Election Day. Board meeting will be April the 3rd. Same place, same time, right in here at 6 o'clock. Hope y'all come back. Mr. Hawkinsmith, you have anything for the board?
No, sir.
Anyone have any questions for Mr. Glenn? And our code department, Ms. Belinda, do you have anything, ma'am? No, sir. If you get a compliment out of Mr. House, you are doing something right. Anybody have a comments for Ms. Belinda? Thank you, ma'am. Ms. AJ, do you have anything for the board? They're an outstanding group of young ladies and gentlemen, but the leadership is outstanding also. All right. Alderman Johnson.
Ms. AJ, thank you for the work that you do with the Mayor's Youth Council. I did fail to recognize they were also at our event, very eager, and the kids enjoyed them as well.
Mr. Campbell, did you have anything, sir?
I do not, Mr. Mayor.
All right. I'm coming back. I didn't forget you, Mr. Jim. I didn't forget you. All right. Anybody have any questions for Mr. Campbell? All right. Mr. Robinson is our city administrator, and he wishes to address the board. Mr. Robinson, do you want to sit down?
I do not.
All right.
I will address standing up. Stand up.
Does it? Okay.
The opportunity to come and speak to you. Many of you know, because kind of word's getting out, that I turned 60 last month in February, so
I don't remember when I was 60.
Yeah, well, it gets worse, as you tell me all the time. But with that being said, I have submitted PERS paperwork to retire, and still shooting for June 30th to retire from the city. So July 1, somebody new will be in this spot, we hope. But I did want to thank the board. It's been an awesome 10 years, had its ups and downs. Mr. Tommy, you're the only one that was here when I was hired, so everybody else came on as we had elections. So, and obviously the mayor, it's been an honor working for you. But I come to you to ask also, this is a difficult time for somebody to retire, because as you know, budget season comes up in June, July, August, and I was hoping to ask you all to allow us to advertise for this position, get somebody in, get them trained, get them prepared for many different things, but especially for the upcoming budget and all that has to go into getting the budget adopted by September 15th. And just all the different type of stipulations. We have to go by state statutes to do that. We've got great staff here that can help this next person right along, and it may be somebody right here amongst our staff that the board sees fit to approve. But I do ask that you'd allow us to advertise. So we'll probably advertise for a few weeks, get somebody in before you all present them to you, and then once we get them on board, it'll be, I wouldn't say, it'd be a month and a half to 2 months, so it'll be very little training to take place. But that was my request, that we can advertise to hire somebody.
Mr. Robinson, we're certainly going to miss you. The city administrator's job, first off, is to make my job easy, and you've done that really good. I really do appreciate that. And it's a very complicated job, dealing with federal regulations, state regulations, different departments. It is not an easy job, nor is it for the faint-hearted. And then whoever the city administrator is has to deal with us up here. And I really appreciate you presenting that to the board about, so when you do leave, it will be a continuity. Things will flow much more smoothly with they have in the background. There'll be hiccups. But the question I have for you, and Ms. Linville asked this to me, hope you don't mind me putting you on the spot, Ms. AJ, is, I'd already told him, that if we hire somebody, and then the new board comes in, because there's going to be at least 3 new faces up here and here, if they don't like him, is it going to be difficult to get someone to apply knowing that they would have to be rehired July the 1st or let go July the 1st?
Yeah, I would say it would be difficult, but it would be even more difficult to pass a budget by September 15th. If the new board did something like that, I couldn't see you passing a budget by September 15th.
It has to be passed by September.
It does. That's why getting somebody in, getting them to understand and start working on the budget, because this year MML is that last week in July. So new board and mayor take over July 1. Then 2 weeks later, you all leave, go down to MML, and then once you get back, 1st of August, we really need to be going into budget workshops to be able to get somebody, get a budget passed by September 15th. if they were to come in and say, no, we're gonna hire somebody else, somebody else would have to pick up the ball. One of the deputy clerks would have to do the budget, which we have 5 deputy clerks. But one of them would have to get the budget passed by September 15th, if the board were to say, no, we're gonna hire somebody different.
So you're asking the board to authorize you to go out and look for applicants for this position. Well, we're gonna have to put a salary figure in there. And that means for those 2 months, they'll be paying you and the new guy, or the new lady, whichever one it is. Is there money in the budget in your department to pay for 2 city administrators for that 2 months?
Well, you know, the smaller departments are pretty much, you know, what you see is what you get. The board would probably have to allocate additional funds, you know, at that point in the budget for that, so.
Are you gonna ask the board to approve a salary level, what you have now, or for a reduced amount for those 2 months?
I mean, my recommendation is it should be, but that's up to the board. If you compare, and Miss AJ does a great job every year, she does a salary comparison. The other cities in DeSoto County that are the larger cities, Olive Branch, Hernando, South Haven, I believe 2 of their city clerks make more than I make now as city administrator, from what I understand. Maybe all 3 of them do, because thinking of Miss Pam. Probably 2, possibly 3 of the city clerks make more than the city administrator in Horn Lake. So I would not drop that salary. I would keep it at what it is right now.
So you want to advertise for what you make now?
And that's all up to the board, but that's what I would suggest. That would be my recommendation. If you're trying to get a quality person, I would not pay less than city clerks make at other cities. You know, there is a city administrator and a COO at other municipalities, but they make a lot more than I do. They are a larger budget, but I would not go backwards.
Yeah, because 2 of the cities, South Haven and Olive Branch, their budgets are way over $100 million. Ours, I'm proud to say ours is up to 40-something million now. What, 42? 42 million, but theirs is almost triple ours. So.
Besides the budget, I've always argued it's the same job. It's just different headaches.
Yes, sir.
Budget might be the same, but that's probably the only thing that's the same, or different. That's probably the only thing that's different.
Yes, sir. I know they have a lot more staff than we do. Our staff is overtaxed, overworked. Does anyone have any questions? Alderman Klein?
I got a couple questions. I know at the same time that you'll be transitioning and training, where also you're going to be introducing a new software too, and that training's going to be going on also. Is that correct? That Oracle
Yeah, we're getting
software?
real close to start doing that training next month.
Yeah.
So.
So, I mean, so that we're going to have our hands full with that going on and transitioning the position. I want to, don't want to bang this over your head, but I want to know where we're at on our audits. I think we're still 2 audits behind.
They have started the 23. So.
And did they give you an idea when they'll be through with it?
No, I haven't had an opportunity to talk to them. They sent us a detailed list the week before last. I know 2 of the other cities just finished their 23, and they're on 24 is really the only audit anybody could still be on, or the earliest audit they could be on. So Once we get 23 done, we'll be on the year that we're supposed to be on anyway. But we should know in the next couple of weeks kind of where we stand. Once we start getting them, they've been asking for information. I haven't got a confirmed date on when they're going to be on site, because once they get on site and doing the site work, it goes quickly from there, so.
Yeah, it'd be wonderful if, when you leave, that we're clean with that, at least caught up,
Yes, we hope to be, before this summer is over, hope to be finished with 23 and working on 24,
Awesome.
which is the year everybody else, if they're not behind, is working on right now.
Well, just bouncing off what the alderman said, that are the department heads providing the information promptly on these? Or are we having some trouble with the department heads, some of them dragging their feet?
No, we haven't gotten to that point yet for the detailed information. When they come on site and start doing things on site, that's when they start
Well,
pulling.
that list you were talking about, have those questions been answered?
No, we're getting ready to distribute those like we did last year. Each person have certain ones that they're more expertise in. So.
Yes, sir, but like Alderman Klein said, I know it seems like we're 2 years behind, but actually you can't even start 24 till you get through. We're about 6 months behind. I know you were shooting to have it done by the 1st of January, and for some reason, that wasn't reached, and I really don't, not blaming you. I know where, never mind. Anybody else? Alderman Bledsoe.
If we have trouble getting somebody, would you consider being contract labor until we can get maybe the budget done and all this done? That would be a lot of help for the city, and then there wouldn't be so much pressure on everybody.
I would have to defer to the experts, AJ and Billy. Miss AJ knows kind of how PERS works. I don't know if you can retire and, well, I know you have to have a period, a separation period.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so.
90 days,
3 months?
Yep. Three months.
You just have to work fast.
Anybody? Alderman Johnson.
Mr. Jim, thank you for the work that you've done here in Horn Lake. I certainly hate to see you go, but on that same line that Alderman Bledsoe spoke about, could you delay your retirement?
I don't know about that. We'll have to see.
She didn't look up, so that's not a good sign. Anyone else? Well, we've heard Mr. Robinson's request. Do we have a motion?
Mayor,
Alderman Young.
make a motion, we strike all his remarks from the record. I respect your wishes, Mr. Robinson. We talked about this. I respect them. So, yes, sir, I would move to go ahead and accept his retirement proposal as he is directed, and hopefully by the grace of God, we can get through this with the leadership that we got in this building and provide for the citizens as they're required to provide.
Thank you, sir. We have a motion by Alderman Young. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Klein. Is there any further discussion? Mr. Campbell, are you going to write up how they want to do it? Should the motion be that granting him authority to start interviewing for applicants for this position and then present it to the board if he finds one, or they find one?
Yes, sir. It'll be approval to advertise for the city clerk position at the present salary.
Thank you, sir. Ms. AJ.
Mayor, can we advertise internally first before going externally? There may be someone or several that may be interested internally that already have knowledge of Horn Lake.
Would that have to be in the motion?
It's up to the board, Mr. Mayor.
It's up to y'all.
The only question that I have about it, Mayor, and I don't even know that it's really a question, it's just really a thought that's been running through my head ever since you started talking things. We're gonna have to have someone who is certified through MML or different processes within the state to be qualified to hold that position. I understand looking for an intern. Do realize, I know, that if we hire an intern and he retires and we don't find anybody, who the next deputy clerk is, right?
We have several that are certified.
I'm just saying, you know how it's gonna bounce. I don't have a problem with an intern. I mean, I hate to, it's almost like cutting half a tree down.
She's not saying an intern. She's saying to maybe open it up internally to.
Oh, internally, I thought you said get an intern. Oh, heck. Yeah, well, you would open it up first in-house, I would think, yeah.
And it could be a short term, like a week.
Yeah.
I don't even know why you would need that, and I hate to disagree with you because I'm scared of you. So that because once it was open, anybody could apply. I don't know why you would need, I mean, anybody could apply. I don't know why. I would love to see some people internally apply. I certainly would, but I don't know why you would need that. I don't understand why we would need it. All right. Mr. Campbell, do you have anything?
I don't, Mr. Mayor. I agree. If it's an advertisement, anybody can apply, whether it's externally or internally.
Good try, Ms. Aja. All right, who made the motion? Alderman Young made the motion. Who seconded it? Alderman Klein did. Is there any more discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Klein? Aye.
Alderman
Alderman Johnson?
Aye.
Alderman Young?
Aye. We have a motion. Motion carries by the vote of 4 in favor, 0 opposed, and 3 absent. Going by the agenda,
Thank you, sir.
we have no more business for this honorable board. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion by Alderman Young. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Bledsoe. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Aye.
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 Ladies and gentlemen, we are adjourned by a vote of 4 in favor, 0 opposed, 3 absent. We are adjourned. Be careful.